Hey, welcome. It's the Ocho 4-4. That's 8.
The
And today
Ocho.
we're going to talk about Betty White's muffin, sweaty balls, and slip it in.
Slip it in.
Yeah, this is going to be a great podcast. Better than
Slip it into Betty White's muffin.
You know,
Okay.
sweaty balls are hanging.
Welcome back, guys.
We were on
coming off our most successful podcast ever, which seems like it was just yesterday.
Actually, I
It was
think
the highest rating ever.
really, I think the
It was
first podcast
a lot
we
of
ever did
people
was the
said it
highest
was
rated.
a beautiful podcast. Probably one of the best podcasts they've ever
in
seen.
the history of all podcasts. I'm
Yes.
I think we broke YouTube.
I got a
Experience.
personal note from Joe Rogan asking for a few tips, and I just said it's easy.
The IMCA.
Keep Jerry off the goddamn podcast.
Yeah. The Brett Root experience is what
Yes,
the
it
last
was
one
the Brett Root.
It should be with the IMCA experience. I think
IMCA, yes.
that sounds better.
IMCA.
Yeah, I don't like the Brett Root IMCA experience.
IMCA.
IMCA.
Did we miss
Seems like
anything?
it was just yesterday.
I'm trying to remember what
Yeah,
we
did
even
we
talked
miss
about.
anything? I mean,
I'm getting old.
Jerry and I were on special
it was so
assignment.
exciting that it just popped up on our news feed right away.
It was. It was easier to get done without you guys here. A lot less talking.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
All I know is it didn't take you long to do what I do and get it off rails. It didn't take you long.
Right.
I'm going to sit here in silence.
Are you?
So let's get our slip it in game going. We talked
Now-
about
now, is
this.
this
Did we
gonna-
talk about this in another podcast?
Yeah, we talked about it a couple podcasts.
So I bought the game on Amazon, right? And so you draw 5 cards. We're only gonna do 3 because we this podcast could take forever the way it is. So draw 3 cards, and there's gonna be 3 phrases, I guess, or sayings on that, sentences, words. It's more of like a sentence that you have to attempt to say during the podcast without anybody detecting that it's actually one of your
3.
slip it in cards. Okay?
Oh, I know. But these
Don't
are
say it out
easy.
loud, and I don't think you have to take any particular order. Just one of those 3 sayings. You have to say it without one of us catching it. If we catch it, you lose. And get another card. If we don't catch it, you win. So the first one to actually get all 3 of their sayings actually in without getting caught during the podcast wins. The slip it in game.
Okay.
You win the slip it in game. Now, I don't know exactly what the prize is going to be.
I already know I'm not going to win based on what I got. So
I'm going to go out and draw my 3. And Jim and Ben already have theirs. Nate did it. Nate did that for them. So
Yeah.
all right.
So Nate will put them up on the screen so you see what each one of us are slipping in.
So we've all got our cards.
Now, do you got to get this little hawk too before you slip it in, or?
you going to spit on that thing?
Yeah, good.
I don't even know if I can say these. Think about it. You don't actually have to say it exact. As long as it's close to what it says. You know,
Oh, it has to be word for word.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be word for word. As long as you get it close. You know, if you don't say you leave a word out or something.
I think our viewers are just enthralled right now.
Yeah, this is going to be so interesting.
Well, you thought you had a high-rated podcast last time.
Wow,
This is going to go
exactly.
through the roof.
I'm going to put mine right up
Wait till
here on
Ryan
my
tries
screen.
to slip it in on you.
I don't even know what some of these mean.
Rude.
Hey, did you guys know it's Derby week?
Yes, it is Kentucky Derby week.
Yes, it is.
Did you know last
your
week
mint
was the
julep?
draft? Last week was the draft. I was put in charge. Did you get them pictures I sent you
We
from
talked
when I
about
was at
that.
the draft? Check these pictures out. This is me
Did
at
you
the
go to
draft.
the draft?
I was on special assignment with 205,000 other people on Friday, and I had to help Cole Cern. I was in
There
charge
you
of.
are.
I was in charge of holding
you?
his shirt. Yes, Cole said, "Hey, I need your help." So
There's Jerry.
Yep,
You
that's
were
me
up there?
holding. That's me holding the shirt.
It's him, Jerry, holding the shirt up.
So and there's me taking the picture of Cole and Pat McAfee.
No, is that really you there?
That's me. I'm taking the pictures.
You weren't up there.
You told us you had to go to a visitation on Friday. That's why you couldn't do the podcast.
I thought you were in
Then
Shador
you were-
Sanders' booth.
No, actually, I mean there was more. There's 2 things that have been harder to find in Green Bay on draft day. That was him, first round pick, or moon boots. But other than that, I mean, those are the 2 things that you probably weren't going to figure out.
You know, I was watching the draft. The only thing I could
Oh, by the
think
way,
about,
slip it in.
Moon boots.
It wasn't 30 seconds. You got
Yes,
to
it
wait 30
was.
seconds.
the only
Is this
thing
where
I
we
could
put the
think
things?
about watching the draft was the Italian restaurant right by there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is there a good one? Is there a
Oh,
good
yeah.
Italian restaurant out there? Isn't there like a steakhouse right there too?
There's a lot of neat things right next to the thing.
Next to the stadium.
I went to a couple games.
I
but
took Ryan went to the Italian place with me.
Yeah, that was good.
Wish I could remember the name, but it was damn
Can't
good.
remember either.
What in the hell are you doing,
I
Jerry?
remember.
I
I,
forgot I
remember
was
our
supposed to go
server.
back.
Our server
Oh,
was
I
nice.
know
too.
you do.
Well, hell. Do you want to talk about the Derby? What are we going to talk about besides Shitter, Sanders, the draft, and
Oh,
Jerry hanging out in Green Bay?
Yeah, the Derby.
You weren't in Green.
I want to go to the Derby sometime.
I am going
big
to the
hat.
Derby. That's
I want
why
to
I'm
be in the
excited.
infield and run across the top of the Kaibos. Because that's a deal.
Is that what they do?
Yes.
That's
They run
interesting.
across the top.
You've
of
never
the
seen
country.
videos where they like, I mean, literally, it's how far you can get across before you
We
either
should do
fall
that
or
at the
trip.
Super
Oh,
Nationals.
good lord! I'm surprised they
So I'm
haven't
going to
done it
steal
already.
some of these ideas.
Yeah,
I think. Can we
exactly.
do that?
Well, I mean, they don't blow the Kaibos up at the Derby.
Do they tip them over?
I think, yeah.
Start them on fire?
Yeah, I don't know if they start them on fire.
You know how much a Kaibo costs?
Now
Now they're
I got
about
the
18 or
perfect.
1900 bucks.
I have no idea what.
Now I
Kaibo
got the
costs.
perfect
This
Zoom
one now?
background up there. I got to
I'll
get
tell
my
you what they cost.
Moxley up there.
We
They-
bought a few of them at Super
They
Nationals.
used to be about 15 or 1600 bucks, but they may have gone up.
They're not that. The ones we've been invoiced for aren't that much. They're usually around $1,000, a little over $1,000.
Kaibo is.
So you could buy a portable toilet for $1,000.
Yeah, they're about $1,000. But why would you want to buy one? Where are you going to put it?
What?
Jerry, if you're
Like
not
in your
doing
backyard?
anything Thursday, Brett could pick you up. He's going to the Derby on Thursday. He was saying he has room
going?
for one more.
I said I'm going to the Derby.
I didn't know whether to believe you or not.
I didn't know whether to believe it or not either.
It is actually true. I'm not lying.
You are going
Do you have
to.
your big funny hat?
I
Does
have
Virginia
a
have
hat.
a hat?
Virginia has 2 hats. Virginia is in panic mode right now because she first off, you got your Friday, which is the Oaks,
Yeah,
and the Derby is actually on Saturday. And
at 5 p.m.
correct. The Oaks is the theme is the flower. I'm not sure what the flower is called, but it's a pink flower, right? And they also do a breast cancer charity awareness at the Oaks, and so you have to wear pink. You have to have some variation of pink. So Virginia is going to look fantastic on Friday. I've seen her dress. Got a little fascinator. She's going to look hot. Me, not so much. I'm kind of dressed like a clown in pink, but whatever, I think. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to wear.
Wow.
Kinda.
Wow.
I got my chicken shirt on today. Chicken
Producer
shirt with my
Nate coming with the
AR-15.
one-liners.
No doubt.
But yeah, so it
No.
is like a fashion statement. So, but Saturday she's in stress mode because she doesn't like the dress that she has, and she thinks she's gonna look like shit, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you'll be fine, babe. You'll make it work.
How long of a drive is it?
From here, it's like 9 hours,
Oh, you're
Yeah, it's
driving
not
down.
that bad.
8 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How long's the race? Like 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the difference between the Oaks, the Kentucky Oaks, and the Kentucky Derby? Friday versus Saturday. You know these things.
It's on the grass. Isn't it?
No.
Or
I
no?
don't think so. You know the difference in the race? The race of the Kentucky Oaks is all female horses. Oh. There are no male horses.
And Friday they run mod lights.
Correct. Yes, they do. Yeah.
I know
So,
With,
Jimmy's
with
excited
Compacts
about
as
it.
the
With
support
Compacts,
division.
do you know what the favorite is to win the Oaks? What horse? The name of the horse?
Rafferty?
No, it's called Cumberbound. Did you know that?
Cumberbound.
Cumberbound.
That a
You
weird.
have been studying up for this trip.
Right.
Wow.
Right. and so then you have that, and then you have the Derby on Saturday, which is all kinds. I'm learning all kinds of shit about horse racing.
Can you do any claiming at either one of these events?
We talked about that.
Yes.
The-
That's why I'm curious. Did they have a claim race that day?
The Derby races actually started today, and I got one of my cards. Yeah, Cumberbound. I don't even know what the hell Cumberbound is. but it's in-
Cumberbund. That's what you wear on a
Whatever.
tux. You said it
yeah,
wrong.
you said it wrong. That
said
doesn't.
it
Oh,
wrong.
is it one of those things that go around your waist?
Cummerbund.
Yeah,
Bun, not a
cummerbund.
bound.
A tuxedo.
Well, so how often I wear one of those stupid things?
I've
wore
already got
those
one
in
of mine
prom.
in.
Oh wait, I have to wear that at the. Do I wear those at the? No,
Hey.
we those at the
We
banquet.
don't, we don't have.
We don't-
No, we don't have.
have
We have the vest and the
We had
tie.
the vest. We used to have those cummerbunds.
Yeah, long time
used
ago.
to,
Long time
yeah.
ago.
I thought
When they
we
were
did.
like a thing.
They used to be. They'd be pink and they match your pink.
Yes, they
The
match the
red.
tie and.
They'd be all sporty for prom. Prom week too. In most parts of the country,
Yep.
which makes it especially difficult to find a dress for the Kentucky Derby. FYI, I'm having a hell of a time.
How long have you known you were
need a
going to the
dress for the
Derby that you
Kentucky
needed to
Derby.
get a dress for?
You trying to slip that one into?
No, that's my wife's situation, and that actually is the truth. But anyhow, yeah.
All I know is that 9-hour drive, I can give Virginia a list of things that you should not eat if you happen to stop on the way.
Why do you got to bring this up every time we talk about
Jerky, what is that? Machado cheese.
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't know. It was at a gas station in Wisconsin. That's all. It was like around Oshkosh or something where we stopped. Jim was not happy with me about an hour
Oh,
later.
he's flipping you off right now. Look at that.
What did you do? I mean, you pissed
That is, once again,
It upset my stomach a little bit in the car.
the perfect Zoom background for this podcast.
Brett
My
smelling
double
like
birds. Caw, caw.
Brett smelling like shit and smell my finger. Look at that. So when do you go? Do you leave tomorrow?
Thursday. We're not going to leave until Thursday.
Remember
Take
that
Kennedy
Jim said
school.
that?
I don't remember.
But they're racing every day. They started racing today. I'm trying to learn how to bet. I don't know shit about horse racing. I knew nothing. Zero. So I'm like, rabbit hole. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, you're on this
You're
rabbit
going down
hole.
a rabbit hole.
Every evening. You want to know? I'm not watching TV. I am on the internet trying to figure out
Oh,
what
by the way, I saw
in the
another one
world.
of him.
Did you?
Yeah,
thought-
pissing your Cheerios.
I thought we were going to wait
I
until
didn't
we were
even hear
done.
that one.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, he was talking about what you were eating, and I said, "What, you pissing his Cheerios or something?"
Lord.
I got one too. The caw caw.
The caw-caw?
I don't know. Caw caw like a crow.
Oh.
Because Jim's double
my God.
birds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we're kind of off the rails. Just,
Well, this
remind
game
me-
has kind of let us off the rails.
I'm gonna go.
the hell are we
office
doing?
Reference.
Hang on. Okay, time
We'll
out.
wait till the
Jim's
end.
got to get to results here real quick.
An Office.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
One of my favorite TV shows. I'm gonna have to go with the Office reference. Who's an Office fan?
I like.
I am
it.
not. I've never watched it.
I used to
Single
like it off
episode.
and
I
on.
like it.
What about the one where Joe comes on a visit and Jim says, "Let's do jazz hands every time I cough"?
That's going to be one of your slip it in.
That's what this episode reminds me of right now.
Well, let's talk about racing then. If you don't want to talk about the Derby.
There was some racing.
Jazz hands.
Is that a slip it in?
That's what it says. It
Yeah, I
sounded
think
like
he slipped something in.
Yeah.
Jazz hands?
Jazz hands.
Finger. Slipped finger.
Anyhow. So what do you talk about? Dirt track
Well,
racing.
you know,
Let's talk
Oh,
about dirt
Star
track
Wars
racing.
weekend. May the 4th is coming up.
That's next. Yeah, that's this weekend.
Sunday.
I've been struggling trying to find an outfit I can wear to Stewart on Wednesday for the, what is that? The dirt. What do they call that?
The dirt duel.
Dirt duel.
Dirt
Dirt
duel.
duel.
So I know.
You might be able to wear a rain jacket or a poncho.
Is that tomorrow?
The duel.
Or it could be today on your birthday.
Tomorrow doesn't look. Tomorrow looks rainy.
Yes.
Oh, I knew that. I was going to wait to the end to try to bring that up
What, my birthday?
about Ryan's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is this airing
It's
Tuesday?
tomorrow.
Or
Isn't it tomorrow?
Is today Wednesday on this podcast, Nate?
I forgot the
Tuesday's-
cake.
Yeah, you forgot the cake?
You got a cake?
Birthday
I
Eve.
would have if I would have remembered.
Last year you wished me a happy birthday, I think a week before my birthday.
Yeah, it was something
You
like that. I
texted
thought
me
I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, Ryan's birthday or something. I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot. Happy birthday. He's like,
all
no,
right.
it's not till next week. I'm like, I don't know what my Facebook page is doing.
That's okay.
I have no idea. I'm terrible
just-
about birthdays. Yeah, I think you guys know this. I'm terrible about birthdays.
Do you remember yours?
Occasionally.
Okay.
It was back in February, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wait, speaking of birthdays, my granddaughter's birthday's today.
Oh, yeah.
Little Claire turns a year.
A whole year.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome, for sure. Yum.
But back to racing. We had some shit go on last weekend. Racing.
There was
good
a lot
stuff.
of racing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rain too.
Yeah, there was a.
I think
It's been kind of a weird spring.
we had rain-dominated feature victories last week.
Rain and
And-
chili.
chili.
yeah.
It's a cinnamon roll?
Cinnamon roll.
Peanut butter sandwich.
No, chili and
Chili and
cinnamon rolls.
chili and
butter.
cinnamon rolls.
I like peanut butter.
Unfortunately,
and
Jim and I
cinnamon
finally
rolls.
agree on something.
Yuck.
I'm not a fan.
Crackers.
Of what? Chili and cracker? Or what?
Chili and cinnamon rolls.
What?
Ugh.
Oh, that's good. They're amazing.
I like peanut butter sandwiches
I like peanut butter sandwiches
with
too.
chili.
I agree.
That's got to be one of Ryan's slip-it-ins right there. I like peanut butter sandwiches.
No, it's not. No.
But getting back on track here, you know, we had Dakota Speedway up in Mandan opened up Friday. And I believe, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the start of the second year of stock cars up there?
I believe so. Let me look it up here. If he'd have prepped me before this, I could have had this
Oh,
stuff
how
ready to go.
much fun would that
That's
be?
right, Jim.
Yeah.
That sounds
And
right.
that is one of my slip-it-in second year of stock cars at Mandan.
Yeah, I'm sure that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that is.
Where's your jazz hands? Well,
But they had 26 stock cars to start what I believe is year number 2. And, you know, it was an interesting story. We kind of had a couple year fight because they didn't want to get rid of the W sanction street stocks, almost street stocks, whatever they call it.
Zoda.
It is their second
Yeah.
year. I just looked it up.
And
Zoda
because
sweet
they were
stocks.
stuck on about 14, 15 of them. And
was
they
Zoda
thought, what
sweet
can we
stocks.
ever do
Say it all fast.
to replace
Zoda sweet
those?
It was Zoda Sweet Stocks.
But, you know, I'm going to turn over a new leaf here, getting off the subject a little bit.
Oh,
Because
we've heard this before.
it was brought
Kinder,
up to me
gentler, Jim.
at a racetrack recently that, and I didn't even realize this, but somebody brought it up to me that I might make fun of other sanctions on this podcast. I don't know if anybody's aware of that.
You do?
What?
That's what somebody told me.
Man.
So
I've never heard
I'm
it.
not going to make fun of Wasota for not being able to get any cars and us putting stock cars up there. And within 2 years, we double their car count. I will not, damn near double. I will not make fun of that.
Me neither.
and it was a really good race too.
It was.
With a lot of cars.
It kind of came down to the last few laps.
Ben, I think you watch every race on the planet. at this
Crazy.
point. Am I right?
Pretty much.
Every
Yeah,
IMCA,
you're pretty-
every IMCA race you can find, I think he's watched it. in
Do
the
you like
last
fast forward
3
and get
months.
to the features? Do you watch qualifying or do you watch?
He has
You
to.
can't possibly have enough time to watch all these complete shows.
What's I just want
never sleep.
I want to know
I
what
just-
size
got-
the TV is in the shower.
I envision
Right.
Ben's living room looking like a sport book, one of the sports books in Vegas,
a wall,
with about 110 flat screens
wall
and
with
every
TVs.
race on it. How much does it cost you a weekend to buy the pay-per-views for each one of those races?
Well, $24.99 because I get that IMCA TV replay subscription and I watch the Boone docu-series and all the great offerings that we have on there.
See, I can't even get Nate or Chris to give me a subscription, so I got to pay to watch every race.
You get to go to them live, Jim. You don't need to watch them.
Yeah.
That's true.
You go to more races than anybody else that works for IMCA.
Well, that's nothing I brag about.
Without a doubt. You got me beat.
Yeah, speaking of that, I'll be at Stewart Wednesday, Park Jefferson Friday, Salina Saturday, Spencer on Monday.
Yep.
Where are you going to be on Sunday? Why don't you come to Spencer on Sunday, too?
No, I thought if I go anywhere, I don't want to give up where I thought about going on Sunday.
Wow.
But-
thinking involved in that.
I might need to get home for a day to mow.
You don't have a kid that does that for you?
No,
It's too cheap to pay somebody for it.
I'm too damn cheap. It's my only exercise I get.
We can see.
I love to mow.
I do love to mow, too. I got my first set of stripes.
We've talked
in.
about this. I have shirts that say I love to mow.
Oh,
You
here
hit the
we go
lawn
with the
care shirt, don't you?
stripes.
That's the
Here we
lawn
go
care
with the
shirt.
stripe shit.
Ooh. My yard
what?
right now is on point, Jim.
Stripe.
Here
Sure
we talking
it is.
about stripes.
Yes.
You ain't serious about your yard till you got a striper.
Exactly. If you ain't got a striper, you ain't got shit.
That is the fact of the matter. If it doesn't look like the, golf course,
Right.
Yep. You just don't have pride.
you're just an amateur.
You know, the problem I got is my yard has become so unlevel. I don't know how many tons of sand in topsoil it would take to level it out.
There's a big dump truck full.
More than I'll ever do. Let's put it like
Just
that.
aerate every
It's
fall.
not hard to do. I did that once in my yard.
The sand thing?
The sand thing, yeah. My neighbors thought I was a moron. I think we've talked about this. When you're throwing
I thought you were
shovels of sand out in your yard, people stop and say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, making a beach.
You got the pool, you might as well have the
Duh.
beach.
Who doesn't want to make a beach? Right.
You got palm trees, you might as well have the beach.
I do. I got a good
You got a palm
backyard.
tree?
Maybe.
You have any coconuts?
Yep.
I don't have.
As a matter of fact,
Is
I
your
do.
pool open, by the way?
Opened it last week.
Did you open yours?
Yep, and I went swimming yesterday in it.
I don't believe that. You guys have the heater on then.
Oh yeah, the heater's on a little bit. But
Screw that. I can't afford to heat mine right now.
Well, you're not
we
a
had to get the
promoter like
chemicals
Jerry.
set. So.
Yeah, I'm working on all that. I'm getting the chemicals
You
set.
got to
Then
turn the
when you
heater on
you
and get
turn
the chemical set.
You turn the heater on, it messes with the chemicals, right?
Do you have your Speedo on?
It's like
No, I had it off.
I don't know.
it really is like a science project. Mm-hmm. It's like a second job. Mm-hmm. Kind of like mowing.
Pool maintenance? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that
kinda
sounds like a
mowing.
headache to me.
I have no hobbies. My hobbies are my yard and my backyard. That's it.
And the Kentucky Derby.
Well, this week.
Yeah, this week.
Correct.
Next week it'll be something else.
Yeah, we'll move on to something different.
So let's get back on track here. We'll talk a little bit about racing. Like I said, Mandan, Dakota Speedway knocked it out of the park. You know, and an interesting one that we can touch on maybe sometime later. But one of my favorite tracks in the country to go to is got to be Ocean up there. You know, it's just such a neat area. And, you know, it can be 110 degrees, 115 degrees, 7 miles away, but at the track, it's going to be about 78. They had a very good sport mod car count. I-96 opened up on Friday up in Michigan. Then you got, Saturday, you got, talk a little bit about Boone Eagle and 141. Boone had 160 cars in 5 divisions. Eagle had 172, 5 divisions. And 141 had 206 in 5 divisions. It's their second straight
540
week of
cars.
breaking the 200 mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think 141 had over 200 2 weeks in a row.
206 back. Yeah.
2 weeks in a
205
row.
and 206.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
that's just incredible. I mean, it's 48 Northern Sport mods, 46 stock cars, 46 modifieds.
You know, CZ's got full control of that facility. I think obviously the racers up there probably know this, but everybody that knows anything about 141 necessarily know this. But he's CZ's been really. I mean, he's a unique individual. Put it that way. He's very aggressive in how he promotes his businesses. He owns lots of businesses. He's very successful, and I think he's applying a lot of that to 141. I think didn't he say he built a campground or was a campground there?
No, they just got approved for it.
Yeah,
I think he's
Built
across
a
the street.
campground.
across the street.
Shower houses and
He's doing some very interesting
buildings.
things up there. Very interesting things up there.
And
And it's a cool
obviously-
facility. We've talked about 141 before. They've got a high limits race up there this year too,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Again, I mean, we don't want to talk a lot about other sanctions or other events, but they exist in some of those bigger paying races like that, in particular, sprint cars, 410 stuff, and even super late model races. Like you've got Jerry at Marshalltown. Some of those events for our facilities are important. They're key events. So
Roger at Eagle has a 3-day Lucas late model show coming in like the 17th or something like
and
that,
he'll run IMCA
with a
mods.
50,000 to win, final on Saturday. And I think he's going to run modifieds the first night, stock cars the second night, and race saver sprint cars the third night. of the
I'd say he's
show.
got
kinda-
different. Each night he's got a different support class.
Yeah, obviously the high limits deal I think is a little bit unique when you're talking about Lucas Oil, so it's a late model deal. But I think the racetracks run support divisions or run their weekly divisions when they're running those touring, professional touring divisions is what I would call them. And thankfully for those facilities, look at like Eagle and you look at 141, and they've got really, really, really strong weekly shows. And this is one of those conversations that people have every year, that we read about every year. What weekly racing is, weekly racing this, weekly racing that, weekly racing is dying. I don't buy that shit. I mean, we are built on weekly racing here. We are the largest association in the United States for dirt track racing, by double probably the nearest association, by at least double, maybe even 3 times. And we are built on weekly racing. The facilities like you just mentioned, Jim, the Oceans of the world, John does a fantastic job out there. He's run that place for like 20 years. And it's had its up and downs, like every racetrack has its up and downs. But without facilities like Ocean, without facilities like Eagle, without facilities like 141, where are these professional racing events going to go? They aren't going to go to closed racetracks. They just aren't. A racetrack, maybe, how many, maybe I'm wrong, but how besides maybe, let's just say, besides maybe Las Vegas, or maybe some of those SMI dirt tracks at the Cup Speedways, how many of our racetracks or how many racetracks across the United States could any of us name that race once a year? Can we name any of them?
Not really.
Not really, no.
Webster City.
There's not very many.
The specials need the racetracks to be open. That's the end of the day. And so you get this whole thing, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? The weekly racing and the tracks that are running consistently, I would argue with anybody till the end of time that those facilities are the most important in facilities across the United States. And not all 2 facilities are the same. We aren't obviously running all the same divisions and on the exact same schedule or on the same night or anything like that. There's variations. But, you look at those facilities like Eagle. That place packs them in there for their weekly show. And they bring a special like High Limits or they bring a special like Lucas, and they'll sell that place out. We're talking about 9,000 people in the
That
grandstands.
place will be packed. That's
phenomenal. And so it's really interesting to me, and that's why I'm sorry I'm getting off track a little bit, but the 141 and the High Limits race, when CZ's putting all the money in up there for campgrounds and bathrooms and shower houses and doing all these things that turn that place into not just a racetrack but a facility, and you bring in a show like that, I would probably, since it's Derby week and I'm learning how to bet, I would probably bet a lot of money that they'll be hanging from the rafters at 141 for the High Limits race. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bet any place or show money on that. I'm going to go strictly win money on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And
could parlay
they're going
it.
to have a pile of
No.
whatever their support division is. They're going to have a pile
There
of
is
race
none.
cars. I was going to say they might not be at High
it's
Limits. They
just-
do a
yeah.
little different deal at the
They
High
do
Limits.
just the sprint cars.
Yeah, I don't think High Limits runs supports in any races, really, do they?
No.
No. But, again,
Not
at the end of the
really.
day, no, I don't think they do. And at the end of the day, what would, where do those race fans come from? You know what I mean? Are you trying to tell me that everybody that goes to a High Limit show is a Cup fan? No. They're not. They're dirt track fans, Wisconsin dirt track fans. And look at that Green Bay area and look at all the successful weekly dirt tracks around Green Bay. There's shitloads of race fans. Shitloads of them. In that area especially. So it's going to be interesting. See how that turns out.
There was 205,000 of them that just went to the draft. That were
I
race fans.
Yeah.
I think they were there for the races. and
We
the
talked a little
draft
bit
was
about
there.
we talked a little bit about the draft last week when you guys weren't here. You guys were at the draft.
Mm-hmm.
205,000 people to watch.
That's
Shedeur
over the
Sanders-
population of
To
to
Green
watch
Bay.
More than the
Shedeur
population of Green
Sanders
Bay.
get drafted 144th.
He went to the Browns, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
At the time, I was
They
wondering.
got like 12 quarterbacks.
I made the comment Saturday night. I didn't know what was going to be harder to figure out, where he was getting drafted or the next pope. What was going to take longer to figure it out.
They got
you
that whole
think
thing
about
going
that
on now
all
with
week,
Yeah,
that
they got a
like
conclave going.
conclave where they're going to let the white
May.
smoke and all
It's
that
in May.
stuff.
I don't think it started. Has it started yet?
I think they're
Yeah, I think-
gathering.
I
don't
think
they?
they're starting.
gathering,
Yeah,
but
they're
they haven't
because
started
the one
actual-
cardinal's out because he
Right.
got in trouble financially. Yeah, the Vatican. He's
Yeah, the white smoke.
the white smoke and.
I'm not
gray smoke.
Catholic, so
smoke.
I don't pay attention to a lot of that stuff. But what else are we talking about, Jim?
I'm betting on who the next pope's going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the
Can you do
Derby.
that?
I'm sorry.
that on
But I
FanDuel?
guarantee you can find odds on who the next pope's going to be.
Oh, you can bet on
I'm
anything.
sure you probably can. FanDuel, right?
Yeah. Only fans. I mean, FanDuel.
Twin Spires. That's what they use at the Derby.
Twin Spires.
Twin
That's
Spires,
the
is
app.
that there?
Twin Spires. I got bets going today.
What?
On what?
Trying to figure out how to learn the app. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Yeah, so I got bets going today. Just win bets, nothing fancy.
Greg Metz won a Sport Mod feature.
Greg Metz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beatrice Friday night.
got a-
First time back out in a car.
You
Like
got
in
a brand new
years.
car too.
But he's
a
one of
hired
those guys
shoe
that
now.
he was a mod racer for a long time. He came back as a sport mod racer for a
Yep.
few years.
For then quit, and then it's
And quit, so
sun
he's back
racing.
again.
Sun
So
racing.
it's like,
Yep.
here again. There, he had some health issues and stuff way back when, and
He was pretty excited Friday night.
he's a super nice guy.
Oh, he's a
I've
great
always
guy.
liked
I
him.
think
Right.
he's. I can't remember whose car it is, but he told me some guy come up to him and said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to put a car together. You want to race it this year?"
Crazy.
So
One of the things I enjoy
mean-
about reading all the stories that Ben is doing, sorry Ben, hate to interrupt you, is
Oh, you're good.
is the winning, is the first time winners. That stuff is really cool. I hope everybody enjoys reading those as much as I do, because I do. I think they're really awesome to see, especially first time winners win races, and there's been quite a few of those actually in the stories that Ben has wrote. And then I also like watching like the second and third night of racing, because we're getting into some of that at some of these facilities where they've got their point averages somewhat established.
Yeah.
So we're seeing the invert come into play, and we can talk about that a little bit.
I think
You
we
see-
should.
You see the invert come into play again, back to weekly racing, and the point leader is starting 12th.
I think the invert's what makes the weekly racing so good.
If you
I would
read
agree.
those
I
stories,
hate to say this, but I would agree with Jerry.
if you read those stories and watch and watch any of the races, it definitely makes the racing more interesting, I think.
Absolutely. And I think a couple years ago we had Tyler Drucke at the banquet on, and that was one of the things we asked him about on the podcast.
He
And
loves it. He loved the.
yeah, he loved it. Like he said, the guys that bitch about it just ain't got no balls.
Yeah,
And,
obviously there's scenarios that come into play with sometimes the guys that start up front aren't necessarily bad racers. They just aren't necessarily the most experienced racers either. You know what I mean? So you got a lot of different reasons why people are starting on the front row during the invert. Some guys break the first night. Some guys intentionally quit to lower their point average and start up front. I mean, we see all kinds of things when it comes to the invert. But at the end of the day, it's a handicapping system that is consistent across the country, that truly, I think, puts everybody that's sanctioned with IMCA, puts everybody on the same system, and it makes it fair, based on car counts and how many heats they have and how many cars they start in a feature, and you can get into all these weird things that could happen. But 12 is the magic number for us, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you should change that." Well, I think that's short-sighted for a variety of reasons. You can use 141 as an example when they're getting 40 cars. In some of their divisions, Boone had 44 sport mods last week. Eagle had 40-some-odd
Yep.
sprint
Sport
cars, sport mods. I mean, when you've got that many cars, I think a 12-car invert looks small. It's half the field, essentially. Half the field that's starting to feature at most places. Sorry. A quarter of the field at some of those facilities that are getting 40-plus cars. But inverting 2 or inverting 4 or inverting 6 under those circumstances doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. But
And I don't get the race fans who say they like to see the fast guys start up front.
I've never understood.
Because you start, I can remember, I don't even know if the Outlaws still do it, but you'd go to World of Outlaw race and see Steve Kinzer on the pole, race over. But when you have to see somebody like that with that much talent have to drive through the field, that's what I want to buy a ticket for.
yeah, I think when you look at generally speaking, our races in general they're shorter. They're not, dirt track racing does not have 500 lap events. Look at the cup stuff and how they qualify and how they line cars up, and then how the races play out. Well, they've got live pit stops. They've got stages. They've got their races are so long. They've got a lot of things going on that can mix up their field a little bit. It takes it out of the control of the racer a little. In our setting, 20 laps is probably average, maybe Most tracks running 20 laps.
Yep.
Maybe 25 on a weekly show. Some tracks do a lap per car. But there's very short races, and you don't have live pit stops. You don't have fuel stops. You don't have anything weird that's going to shuffle the mix at all.
Stage over.
It is just, it's a race. Wide open to 15 or 20 or 25 laps. You know, plenty of time for a guy that starts 12th to get to the front.
I think that even brings up another topic on, you know, let's say 2-day shows or specials, what type of format these tracks use to set the starting field. I think we all got opinions on, you know, that as far as 2 heat races, passing points, you know, straight up. And it's, I don't know, it's interesting, but to me, you know, the straight up part where we take the top 2 to the A, at least you know what you're watching, right, and you can kind of follow what's going on. You get into these double heat scenarios or even passing points, you have no idea who's qualified out of the heat races.
Well, as a fan, having to do the math to figure it out takes the enjoyment out of it anyway. I mean, I would rather just know what's going on as I'm watching it, move on to the next race, and go from there.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
And once again, even, you know, you get into the passing points. I think one of the scenarios when I was down in Arizona, you know, they allowed mulligan draws. I can't remember who it was. We're sitting there talking. He draws like a 9. And immediately he reaches in his pocket because that draw sucked when you're doing a passing point deal.
Yeah, 9 sucks on a passing point
You
deal.
read
high.
to try to get a bad number.
Or higher.
Yeah, you want the 300 or
So-
the 100 or...
So I guess what's it really change? A low number is good
Right.
without passing points, but a high number is good with passing points. It still comes down to the number you draw.
Yep. You know, generally speaking, though, the draw-redraw shows, from a weekly standpoint, the reason why people ask why we don't go to that system, and the reason why we don't go to that system is because it's inconsistent. At the end of the day, it's inconsistent on a national scale, for sure. And when I say that, you just compare a couple of racetracks, and again, your national championship is coming down to, let's just say, the last 2 or 3 races of the year, which happens quite consistently within our divisions. And you've got 2 guys at completely different racetracks in different states that need to win races. And one guy draws, if on a redraw system, one guy draws the pole and the other guy draws the 12. It's not fair. Under that set of circumstances, they're not racing under the same set of circumstances, under the same lineup procedures. It's truly just the luck of the draw. And I don't think that doing that week in and week out is as a consistent, obviously, set of circumstances as the invert, when they know they're going to start 12th or they know they may start 10th. You know that the guy that you're racing against in another state, if he's leading the points at a racetrack and he has to win a race,
He has to work as hard as I do.
he's going to be in the same box that you are to start, generally speaking.
Even that applies to a track championship. You come down to a draw-redraw show, you know, the point leader draws 1, the second place guy draws 12.
Yep.
You know, it's over, basically.
It's a much more challenging set of circumstances. So, to me, the invert just is. It addresses so many things that people, I don't think, really.
It's
give
so
it credit
transparent. You know where everybody's going to start.
That's the other
You get
thing.
into the draw-redraw, and I mean, if one guy would draw the pole 3 straight weeks, could you imagine the shit that would start? We've all been around those scenarios at certain big races in Boone, Iowa. And, you know, could you imagine the crap that would start at each track if somebody, once again,
That's
drew
an issue.
3 or 4 straight ones?
You can just use the Super Nationals as an example of that. I mean, we used to have that system where you could 3 days of qualifying, you could essentially draw the pole all 3 days.
Yeah.
We had that happen, you know, and it's why we went to the split draw. You know, there's some perception with that, and people are going to automatically think the draw is fixed if that stuff is going on. And they would all the way, you know, not just at the Super Nationals, our biggest race of the year, but all the way down to a weekly show where the same guy is drawing the pole every week. people are going to say that it's fixed is why it's doing it. Whereas in an invert, you can see the point average. You know what the guy's got. You can't really hide it. And if it's wrong, the racers have a little bit of a say in saying, you know, listen, this is not being done correctly, which we get almost pretty consistently. Every year we have somebody that says, hey, we don't think this racetrack is lining cars up right. And it does happen. People do make mistakes, but at least the racers know what the system is.
Yep. And my race pass makes it easier than ever for the tracks to get it right.
Correct. Everybody's got the information right there in there.
Yeah, but the computer knows who everybody is, and that's how they get the best draw. That computer draw is rigged.
Yeah.
There is some perception with the computer draw. Me personally, I am not a fan of the computer draw.
You can draw before the driver is selected, though.
Yep.
You?
I don't. You can't. I mean,
The draw number can be pulled, and then the driver assigned to that number.
correct.
Yeah.
You can do it both ways. Most places, and we do it at the Super Nationals with the computer draw. You know, and I don't know. I mean, having 300 pills, you know, we've went through that at Super Nationals, having a big wheel with 300 balls in it. Actually, we had 400 and some in there that one year. Yeah, that's a big wheel. But I think the racers feel a little bit more. I think everybody in racing is superstitious to a certain level.
Oh, no.
They want to feel that in their hand. They want to know what
They want to
I-
see that. They want to see
I
that
wanna-
happen
I
right
wanna-
in
They
front
buy
of them.
into conspiracy theories in racing. I don't know if anybody's ever
I want
noticed
to pick
that.
my own bad spoon. I don't want it to be computer picking
Right,
for me.
exactly. So the initial draw, I mean, it's a little bit more challenging to do when you've got multiple divisions at one racetrack. Imagine every week drawing 40-some cars at 141 and signing them in.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Imagine that.
Oh.
I mean, whereas now they just check in and boom, they check in and get them right in MRP, and they know what their average points are, and MRP's all set up to do that. It's a
The
little
only
bit
thing I
cleaner.
like about the computer draw at times, you know, it saves the deal where the racers have to draw, and you can never get them to come to the draw. And, you know, just from a time standpoint, sometimes I like the computer draw.
Well, it's like the prelude
Because-
for Super Nationals,
sure.
too.
Yeah.
We do that pill draw, and that adds to it. I mean, that takes
Yeah.
time.
It does.
Yeah, we could throw frisbees in the stands or something like that.
All that exciting stuff.
Yeah. Circa 1995.
What else we talking about, Jim? Ben, you still around?
Oh, we.
I'm
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Just making sure you're
Ben,
not sleeping.
throw us a topic.
Oh gosh.
Put him on the spot.
Well, stuff started out here in Cottage Grove,
Yep.
and Ethan Killingsworth won the opening night for the modifieds, and then trucked it to the nearest track and got runner-up to Bryson James at
So we raced
Willamette.
2 tracks in one night.
Yep.
We had William Gould do that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Raced 2 racetracks in one night. Things like that get everybody's attention. You'll read that stuff and you'll go, wait a second, can they do that? We used to not allow that
Oh, yeah. You used to not be able
because we used to have an unlimited amount of races that a racer could race. It
Starts
wasn't-
you could make.
Right. It was.
Now you can
right.
burn them up in the first month if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to
burn
race
stuff.
50, I guess if you want to race 55 races in a day, you probably can if you can get it accomplished.
might
But-
be a plane.
Yeah, it's interesting, but we never used to have a cap. When we didn't have a cap on the amount of races, we'd have guys racing 85, 90 nights a night, 90 nights a year. The circumstances of our national championships and all that stuff, how we were lining it wasn't how we were lining the cars up. It was average. I'm trying to think how we did. That was just wins. It was just based on sole wins.
Yeah.
It didn't really. You didn't need to win a track championship. There was a variety of different things. If you go back over the years that we've changed, that
Yep.
we've put a little bit more value
That
on
was
track
before
championships.
bonus points, too, wasn't it?
Bonus points.
Yep.
It was just raw wins for years, and you have guys that literally, if they didn't win, they'd pull off the racetrack because it didn't hurt them to pull off the racetrack. It actually lowered their point average a little bit, and the next week they might start in 8th instead of 9th, or 6th instead of 8th, or whatever it may be. But yeah, so 2-night racing. Did he win both nights? Did he win both tracks?
Oh, he got a first and a second.
First and a second, you said. Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's crazy.
And I know when
How
Gould
far are
did
those
it, I
racetracks
mean,
from each other, Ben?
About an hour.
So not too far. I always wonder how they
Yeah.
get that done. Because
You have to call ahead and figure out the order of events and stuff like that, or
right.
It's on their phone. It's on
MRP,
Right,
so
right.
they can see it. But are the racetracks accommodating that happening? That's the question I always have: is do the racetracks really organize their shows so racers can leave and go to another facility?
well, there are tracks that will
I know in
accommodate
the-
a driver
the
that
case
races
with
multiple divisions.
Right.
They will adjust their order of events if you're racing, say, a mod and a stock car. And some say, nope, you're running when you run, and goes both ways probably.
Right.
I know with Gould, the situation was that they had rain coming in Ardmore at Southern Oklahoma. So John sped the show. I mean, he had about an hour, 45-minute show because it was supposed to rain at like 9 o'clock. So they got done, I mean, that early. And I don't even know how long of a trip it is to Grayson from
I think
Ardmore.
it's 90 minutes or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
I'd
they,
say about
there was
an
about
hour,
So it's a bit of
45.
a jog.
Okay, so
there was about 4 of them that went down there, and it was, that wouldn't have happened if they wouldn't have had the rain coming in Ardmore.
yeah, the circumstances just played out that way.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think in most situations, the racetracks aren't accommodating that because they don't necessarily want to let it's such a rare set of circumstances want to let that drive how they operate their facility every single week. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Most time it's just the circumstances played out where you could get it done. The racetracks have to be close enough, too. That's the other thing. Which
Or
I
you
don't
have
know.
a
I don't know
plane.
what the average distance would be, Jim. What do you think the average distance is between an IMCA sanctioned racetrack?
Well, we have a rule in place where they have to be 100 miles away.
Here we go.
And we wonder why people believe that.
We have no mileage rules. Some associations,
Correct.
some associations
Never
do.
have.
We do not. We do not have a mileage rule.
So, contrary to what some experts up in Wisconsin might feel, I've been around IMCA since 93. I certainly don't remember. Brett, Ryan, everybody's been around forever, and I've yet to find anybody that can remember when we had that rule that
Yeah.
everybody says we have.
Never had that rule, but we used to ask that question. We do surveys. We used to ask the question, how far do you travel to race weekly? And most of the racers, it's 40 miles. That is generally pretty consistent. If you ask all 206 racers at 141 how far they drive one way to get to 141, the majority of them will be 40 miles or less.
Oh, absolutely. And I think we saw that kind of play out earlier this year when we mapped out some areas up there. We had a couple different tracks, out of game in Luxie. And once again, it was just incredible, use Green Bay as the kind of the middle. And if you lived, what would it be, north of Green Bay, everybody went to out of gaming Shawano.
Yep.
South of Green Bay, it's Luxembourg and 141.
Yep.
I mean, when you put it on paper, it was so obvious.
It was a
I guess.
no-brainer. I mean, it really,
Yeah.
What about upcoming
So-
specials, Jim? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think
Or just upcoming
one
races,
a
I
neat
guess. I
one
don't know
we
if
have.
specials is necessarily the word. I mean, it's just a lot of May is when shit gets real.
Yes, exactly. One of the that we got coming up that Ben can probably talk a little bit more on is the Milton Sprint Car Race Saver down at KSB, which is a neat event.
Yeah, May 9th and 10th at Kennedale Speedway Park, $5,000 to win. Race Saver IMCA Sprint Car Race, but it's one of those deals where the spirit of the race is incredible because Mike Melton was a huge part of the sprint car community. Unfortunately passed away, and he helped a lot of people, even competitors that they might have gotten together and scrapped with the week before, not physically, but with fisticuffs, but
some physically.
yeah, but he would help people and everything to make sure, whether it was loaning a trailer and all that good stuff. And there's a great article on imc.com that's got more details of some great testimony of what he was able to lend to the racing community down there.
Yeah, I mean, he would have 4 or 5 sprint cars every year up at Eagle, and you could always tell him. I think they were all pink or had some pink in it, and it was just neat. They all kind of pitted in that one corner up in Eagle, and it was just a neat deal. So that should be a great show up there. They can put on some great sprint car racing at KSP, and that's going to be one hell of a show.
Kennedale's had some great shows this year too. They've had
What's that?
Kennedale's had some rumored to have some
absolutely
big crowds doing
absolutely
some very good shows already this year. And again, that weather's been kind of hit and miss.
We talk about guys who can prep a track, and I think you'd have to put Bo's up there. Bo does a great job with that track and helping out other tracks in the state, and seems to give him a pretty good track every week at KSP.
Bo's one of those guys that for us that have been around since the 90s. I mean, you go back into the 90s when Bo was racing, he was one of those guys that in Texas that was known for racing modifieds and racing the bigger shows, the higher paying events. He's just one of those names that kind of has always stood out. And here we are 30 years later, and Bo has been, I don't know how many racetracks he preps. Bo will help Rob over at Abilene every now and then. Bo's on the phone a lot helping people. And he consistently is obviously running or prepping KSP. So he's one of those names that a lot of racers know in Texas.
Bo knows.
Right. He definitely knows how to run it. He's been a promoter for years.
Yep.
Some sanctioned, some non-sanctioned stuff. But he definitely knows how to prep a racetrack.
We got some tracks that are looking to get up and going. We talked a little bit about the Dirt Defender Duel coming up in a couple days, or tomorrow, I guess, at Stewart. But Cothuse County opens up. It'll be the first time in a long time without Ron Reefer, but talking to them, they've made some changes on the track, and I think they're going to have a great surface. They've done a lot of work on the off season, so I think that will be a great show. And really, on a Thursday night, there's not a lot going on, so really kind of everybody up in that area, go give it a try. We talked a little bit about Luxie and Outagamie. I think Luxie's 0 for 2 with rain, and so hopefully this weekend they can get it in. And Outagamie is scheduled to make their opener on Friday. You got Red River up in Fargo. Jake and Nick and Charnel kicking out their season. Then I think Bob and Susan are having their 100th year anniversary at Arlington.
For their second
go.
Right.
They open up on it's 100 years for Bob. Susan's only been around for 25 because she's only 30 years old. So Bob's been there for 100 and Susan not quite.
Well, Brett, you said that the season really gets going in May. I think we've had roughly 325 events scheduled since January 1. Not sure how many we've gotten completed, but since January 1, roughly 325 races. There are just shy of 100 races scheduled, starting with Stewart tomorrow through this Sunday. So, yeah there's a lot.
It ramps
the season
up
officially pretty much opens up this weekend.
Yep.
And then Trent's got a 2-day special up in Spencer, Sunday, Monday. And
is that his high-paying race?
No, that's
coming up in June.
No.
June. Didn't we just say?
Well, I mean, it is like $5,000 in stock cars.
I think it's high but it's not the.
It's not the one
summer.
It's
not the Summer Nationals.
Summer Nationals.
It's like June 1st through the 4th.
Yeah, that's early June.
Right. I think we just emailed everybody on the Summer National stuff, didn't we?
Just went out. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mentioned real quick too. It's really important for us to have an active email for you as a racer, for all the racers that are listening. I mean, you might get an email that you aren't necessarily interested in as far as an event, but opting out of the emails takes you off our list permanently. So if you think we're annoying you by emailing you an event, I would not opt out, because you may miss the opportunity for us to send something that you are interested in. We try to do that for the racetracks as well. We try to do the best we can to send you emails that are pertinent to your division, that in your area. There's a lot of different ways we determine who gets them. when we send those emails, sometimes we just do them to all the racers in one division. But sometimes we're a little bit more selective.
Geographically based.
Correct. Ryan's good about, this is where these things should go. And we make those decisions and send those emails out. So make sure you pay attention to your inbox, your emails, because a lot of times those higher paying specials especially are in our email system. And obviously Ben does stories on them, and they're in the newsletter that we're putting out the first of every month and things like that. So,
Or if you don't get it, check your spam.
check your spam.
Yep.
too.
Yes.
It does happen.
Go to the spam. Spam's pretty tasty, though, when it's cooked right.
Austin, the Spam Museum up in Austin,
Yes.
Minnesota.
Spam it's a Hawaiian delicatessen. I mean, if you...
Delicate.
A what?
Delicatessen, or whatever. I don't know.
Delicacy?
A what?
Deli-
A what
Delicatessen.
delicatessen? What you-
Oh, and a deli sandwich.
Have you actually fried spam before?
Yes.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's probably like fried bologna.
Yeah.
Oh, fried
similar.
bologna's good.
Similar.
I mean,
Oh, if you smoke a bologna and then cut it thick and then you fry it,
fried bologna
good
is
stuff.
a southern thing.
I mean,
for
that'll give you a
sure.
heart attack that you'll need to call an ambulance for right there.
I like fried bologna.
Jambo had the smoked bologna up at Super Nationals a few years back.
Oh, yes. I remember you brought a couple
Buy the
sandwiches.
big old tube of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cut it and then mustard it up. and-
Yep, you slice it. Let the smoke get in it more. Give it more surface area. All that fun stuff.
It's quite the delicatessen.
Yes.
Indeed, it is.
Somebody
What
spent
else?
Saturday with you and Boone.
Again,
I mean, if you want to, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I told him I'd probably come. He's been trying to fight off a cold or allergies or something, so I kind of feel bad for him. I've been there in a few weeks. I'll have to put underwear on this weekend. I really was going to lounge around the house on Saturday night. I don't
They
want.
finally get your washing machine fixed?
No, they didn't.
I gotta put underwear
there's-
on this weekend. Is
there's
that
a-
one of
Put
your-
on my underwear.
is that your
That's a good
slip-in
note.
one? I gotta put
Hey,
underwear
you
on
got
this
it.
weekend.
Yeah.
Because I got it. Yeah.
Well, I'm not wearing underwear. Bitch.
Not
Pisses me
something
off.
normal, Ryan
Here,
would say.
keep-
But maybe it is something Ryan would say.
I'm just going to tell you my other one.
I
Can I
learned
do
what a
that?
I learned what a
Oh,
cummerbund was
by the
today.
way, I did get all three of mine in.
Well, I figured
I got
you
all
did.
three of mine in.
I haven't even tried.
Do you know why I didn't want to do mine? Because I'm not wearing underwear, and my other one was I gave a beer to a kid. I don't think those go hand in hand together. So,
Gee,
Well, that'd be
been a
super.
one,
You
though.
could use that when we were talking about Super
but
Nationals.
I did get the hey dude smell my finger earlier, so I got
Oh,
one out of
you
three.
did.
Oh, no way.
You did get
how do these cards become so specific to a certain individual?
right? I have one that says I accidentally
I think
butt dialed
I've
my
heard-
ex, and there is no way on the planet
You're gonna
I'm
say
going to
that.
say that without. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't be going to the Kentucky Derby this
No,
year.
Yeah.
I would be dead
No.
in Kentucky.
I have heard Ryan use all three of those sentences.
I'm not wearing
in one
underwear.
sentence
Hey
before.
dude, smell my finger, and I gave a beer to
You
a
want a
kid.
beer, kid?
When you were talking about mowing, and I said you couldn't find someone to do it, I was going to say I gave a beer to a kid to mow mine before, but then I knew you would have taken that in a completely different direction.
Yeah, I probably would have.
Absolutely.
I'd call the ambulance, moon boots, and who pissed in your Cheerios?
I
stuff.
had jazz hands.
Yeah, we
We're
figured
We
Fully-
figured that.
fully aware of
yeah, we
that.
let you have that one.
Yep.
Jim and jazz hands.
Do I smell what is it, man? Chino cheese. I got that in on Brett.
You did.
And the perfect Zoom background.
Nice. That was appropriate for you.
It is
Yeah, for you
appropriate
as much
him.
as you are all.
Fits
Look
right
at
in
my
with
Zoom
his theme.
background.
Fits right in with his theme. Oh, well. What else?
Ben, what'd you have?
I had caw.
Yep.
K. Well, it says K is a knife. Knife. The sound of knife is like So I said K.
Are you having a stroke? What's going on, Bevan?
We need to call the ambulance.
K, like the letter K as in knife, but like it doesn't have a K sound. So I don't know. And
you
I've
hold
always
that up?
wanted
I
to be
don't
an
understand.
architect.
You always want to be an architect.
Have you always
Yeah.
wanted to be an architect?
I did take an architect class in 8th grade one time. So
I always
Take a
thought it would be fun
stanza.
to build houses. I took a little bit of construction background when I was in college because they offered it at UNI. I went to school with a lot of guys that were taking construction engineering as their degree, I guess. Does that sound right?
At you and I?
Yeah, there was some construction stuff. I was in all of the building side of stuff. I was in this classes where there were no girls. I think I've told you guys this when I went to college.
I never ran into you. I can't believe it.
I took my gen ed when I was a junior and a senior, and I was like, whoa, oh my Lord, I can't believe I've missed 3 years of this. There's girls in these classes when you take gen ed classes, right?
Careful.
What?
You don't
got-
want to.
you got a daughter
Don't butt
in
dial
college,
the
too?
ex. Don't
Careful.
don't
Don't
butt
butt
dial
dial
the
your
ex
ex or
girlfriend.
Yeah, she won't.
The red telephone's gonna go up.
That'd be a long 19-hour trip to
I
Kentucky.
met my
and
wife.
back.
I met my wife when I was 31 years old. So I got all that out of my system.
Graduated from college at 33.
I got all that out of my system well before I met her. She can't accept it now. Well, she's 20 years into it, so oh well, she'll get used to it.
So when you were looking at these college girls, she wasn't even born.
Basically, kind of sounds weird, right? She's 10 years younger than me.
It's not too bad.
Did you buy that kid a beer?
Steal my
Yeah,
line.
right. She was 21 when I met her.
All right.
True story.
Oh, so we
What
can have a
else?
podcast tomorrow, keeping with this new theme of ours.
This new theme of
Every other day podcast.
yeah.
Right?
We should come in and do like 3 a day or something. And
This-
just be
I'm
done.
excited to see how much money I can win at the Kentucky Derby. So yeah, we could do a podcast next week about how much money I won at the Kentucky Derby.
I want to know. I think it's going to be more. Yeah,
I
I think
win
it's
a lot,
going
I
to be
may
more
not be
like
here.
how much money did you lose at the Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell. That's not going to be a conversation.
So you're going to be in the
Talking about
grandstands, not the
these
infield, though, right?
Grandstands.
Superfectas and
Because
stuff
that's where
like
that's
that.
where all the good shit happens is in the infield.
Yeah, the infield is. There's there 150,000 people.
That's where the
gonna be there?
Kaibo jumping goes, and
Yeah. No, the couple, we're going with some couples that invited us. I would have never went otherwise. Virginia has some friends. I don't usually have any friends that invited her to go to the Kentucky Derby. So I'm just going along with her, and they go to the infield a lot. They've went a few years to the infield. But they got, this year they opened some sections up. And so they wanted to buy box seats. So we bought, I don't know if it's a box seat, but it's a
Yeah, it's a
grandstand
seat.
seat. So we're in the grandstands.
You'll
And I
adjust
don't-
well. There's almost as many people there as go to Super National. So you'll be
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'll fit in.
Some people like to think that.
Yes,
But yeah, I'm excited to go.
I'm excited to see that dress he's wearing.
I'm gonna look fantastic
pink one?
in it.
Yes, the pink dress.
I want to see his big hat with
Yes.
his mint julep.
I got an awesome hat. That's a fact. I probably won't post any pictures of myself on Facebook though.
Wear it
know
to
your wife
Supernational.
will.
We know
so
your
we'll be
wife
good.
will, so we're okay.
I'm not a picture
We'll put
guy.
him on the next podcast.
My wife always says, "I look like I'm single." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I don't want to be in no pictures." I ruin them when I'm in them.
When you have no soul, you don't show up in pictures.
Your
I
wife
guess.
had
Something
posted
like
a
that.
Snapchat the other day. You
Vampire. No,
trying
no.
on a suit in a changing room or something like that?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
going
it's
through my
a
Snapchat
a
stories. Like, yeah, I don't
Sears,
need-
a Sears sucker suit.
is that your wearing? To the
I didn't think
derby?
Sears was still open.
Yeah,
Sears
Sears
we knew you were a
sucker.
sucker.
Wonder
Sears
Waco.
sucker is the style of suit that you wear. It's like a pin.
I thought it was a-
suit.
oh, like a zoot suit or
Garanimals.
something.
It's a pin.
Garanimals from Sears.
Garanimals.
Kinda. I'm like,
You got on these Oshkosh bibs there.
I'm like, right. I put
We
some-
got
I
we
put-
got to end on the Garanimals reference. I just
Yeah, that was not.
We're
In,
over
that
an
was
hour
not.
now
That,
anyway,
that, that
aren't
was
we?
not in the slip it in. By the
in a
way,
seersucker suit with tapered legs, and I can't be sit. I can't sit down in these things. I'm gonna rip the seat out of them. True story. That was on her Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat. Sorry.
I thought you did get it.
I might have it, but I don't do anything on it ever. I don't understand that.
Kennedy
stuff.
made you get it that one time.
Yeah. Speaking of Kennedy, she wants to manage our social media, Snapchat and Instagram pages.
Well, that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Put a new little younger
She knows
snare
what,
on
she
it.
knows what she's doing. She was talking about doom scroll the other day.
so were we.
Can you imagine if we let
Like,
Kennedy
yeah, I
and
see
Chris
this-
Cox out?
I
Just
see
take it away.
I see doom scroll all the time. I'm like, oh gosh, it's entertaining. I find some humor in it.
Humor.
Yeah.
Who does the
And
doom
him.
scroll?
Guy named Chris Cox.
Chris
Is it Chris
Cox.
that does it?
Yeah.
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 Yep. What else?
That's probably about enough. We're probably bored to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
What are we, an hour and 10 or something like that? Hour and 5?
Well,
Hour and 5 minutes.
we better wrap this up.
Wrap it up. I got some gambling to do.
Lunchtime. Yeah, you need to go learn how to bet on horses.
First race is in 30 minutes.
We've got spaghetti.
You can get the TV channel that has them. You could probably get on the TV so you can watch them.
I just got the app. I already made my win bets all day. It's only $2 for a bet.
Yeah,
so it's
That's not bad.
No, I mean, but
You
they
doing
add up.
parlays or?
I haven't done any of that stuff yet. I just picked today. I was like, I wanted to learn the app a little bit, so I just picked the win bet each race. I didn't even do a pick 6 or a pick 5, which pays a lot, I guess. Mm-hmm. I just did maybe it wouldn't it be cool if I just did a win bet and got all 9 of them right and didn't do any of the really
It's like throwing
cool bets.
It's like playing the the YOLO, the hard ways, and all the good stuff on the craps table.
Could you imagine, again, we talked about the draft last time when you guys weren't here.
Because we were at the draft.
Right. Could you imagine if we had betting on
Good Lord.
IMCA
Oh, yeah,
racing?
you guys talked about the
wow.
Yeah, you could draft a team.
Yeah, not only that, but I mean, if you look at the volume of races that we have, I don't know how you would even. I know some of the other associations, like I think World of Outlaws has got some sports betting on their
They got like the dirt draft or whatever.
on their
Can you
sports
imagine we
car
did
stuff.
that for Super Nationals?
Well, just look at the MRP fantasy stuff. You can base it on.
It would take an army of people.
Oh, you'd have to have an entire staff just to.
It
just
would
to
take an
manage
army
that.
of people to manage that.
We just have to
doing a
build
Facebook
another
wall.
That'd be
building so
really
we
cool,
could have
though.
we could have the windows there that they can walk up and place their
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah, it's like going to Park Jefferson when you buy your ticket. That was the old betting windows at the horse track.
Yep.
Right.
And
He
they
doesn't
used to have
bet.
the
I mean,
dog
we-
track right across the street at a track.
Yep.
We bet illegally
horse.
in every Super Nationals every year anyway. I mean, when I was in the infield, that's what we did. Dave and all the tech guys, we all put in $1 for the features.
Yeah.
Who you got?
We did in Vegas too, up in the VIP booth
we've
with
done
Toby
that.
Aaron.
Yeah,
and
we
those
used to do it with
guys.
the promoters up in Vegas back when Vegas was a thing. Yeah, it's not a thing no more. The place is going to need a racetrack
They used to get
revival.
race
eventually.
cars there. Wait, I'm not going to make fun of sanctioning bodies. I'm sorry. They've done a
Jim.
a
Be
great
nice.
job with the event after we
Be nice.
left there.
Yeah.
We used to have shows that would last several hours. They're done in like 15 minutes.
Right.
So let's give them a little bit of
Gives
credit
people
for
plenty of time to go to Vegas to the Strip
And get your picture taken.
and really gamble. Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
All right. Speaking of gambling, you better get ready to go Kentucky Derby in.
Celebrate my birthday in Stewart tomorrow night.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
going.
You're not-
It's going to be damp, I think.
How old are you going to be, Ryan?
51.
51.
Yes, and
Holy
thank
shit.
goodness on the way over, I heard his phone ding. It was the automatic renewal of his AARP card.
We are all getting so old.
I get my.
You
own
look
card
good for
this year.
51, Ryan.
Appreciate
Yes,
that.
you wear it well.
Yep.
you.
Yes, even with your sweaty balls.
Good Lord.
Oh God!
This
I
came
knew
full
we shoulda-
circle, didn't it?
We should have quit about
Says
2
Jer
minutes
Bear.
before that.
Chair bear.
All right, everybody. Hey, go out and catch some great IMCA racing at a track in your area. If you can't, tune us in on IMCA TV. And if you fall down in the infield of Kentucky Derby this weekend, you go get that $24.95 replay pass on Monday and watch everything you've missed out. So see you back for episode 5 very soon.